When you can actually see your profit for the year in dollars and cents, it gets you more in the notion of selling corn, knowing that I can lock in a $50,000 profit or whatever the profit is. You want to lock it in. If I know I can make that much profit in a year, I will be in business next year.
Good afternoon, welcome to GrainTV. It's September 6, 2013. I'm Logan Burgess. Joining me to my right here is Cody Bills to help break down the action that we saw here on a 4-day trade week in the grain market. Let's jump into Fire Tip and see how the grains closed here on a Friday. As you can see, up 7 1/4 cents for new crop corn. Soybeans relatively unchanged, up just 1/4 penny. We had a little bit of strength out of the wheat market. Chicago wheat up 7 1/2. Kansas City wheat up 6 1/4. Cody, this morning getting the action started. What's the export sales report? Kind of what was your take on the numbers there?
Well, honestly, I think it was pretty mixed, but we did see wheat come out. They beat analyst expectations, booking about 668,000 metric tons. Corn, I think, was a little bit of a disappointment. 113,000 metric tons of old crop, reductions in export sales, so that wasn't very good to see. And then they missed on the new crop as well, so corn really didn't have a lot to hang its hat on in terms of the export sales report this morning. Soybeans, I think that was what was really surprising. New crop actually beat analyst expectations. They booked about 844,000 metric tons. That was a very solid booking for the week, and that definitely beat analyst expectations.
Yeah, just staying on the export front, we did have the Egyptians releasing a tender yesterday. We'll have to see if any of those sales do go to U.S. markets. We'll be tweeting about that later today. Those numbers are expected out about 3 o'clock. At GrainTV is where you can find us over on Twitter. Kind of the other big fundamental driver that we had in the market today, we did have Informa releasing updated yield expectations for this crop. And looking at soybeans, not really a huge story there. Generally in line with what the trade was expecting in terms of USDA numbers. But I do think the corn number was a little bit of a surprise. Their expectation for this corn crop was 157.2 bushels per acre. That's about 3 bushels per acre higher than what the USDA reported in the August WASDE report. And keep in mind, in general, trade expectations are for the USDA to actually lower their number from that in the September WASDE, which we're going to get next Thursday. So I think that was a little bit of a surprise. Certainly kind of tighten the reins on the corn market here today.
So that seems to be a little bit of a deviation there between Informa and what the market's expecting.
Yeah.
But of course, next week we do have that September WASDE report. Yeah. What's going to be the big driver of the market in that report?
I think the yield number is going to be paramount in that report, particularly for soybeans. Let's take a look here at some a map that was released today by Planalytics. You can see here the bottom map basically shows precipitation deviations over the last 90 days, and in particular this report is going to be focusing in on how much yield was lost during the month of August for corn and soybeans. Take a look here. As you can see, much of the state of Iowa up into Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois, northern Missouri, that entire area was about 4 to 6 inches behind in terms of precipitation expected during that time period. We know it took some off yield. We saw that reflected in future prices, but bottom line, the USDA is going to come out with an official number that the trade's going to have to go on, and I think that's going to be the big driver out of that report next Thursday.
Yeah, and let's just switch the topic here over to the cash market too, because this has really been very volatile in the last couple of weeks. And one thing this last week we did notice that corn traded down in terms of average basis across the U.S. We traded down 15 cents. Ethanol plants were off 15 cents. We did see soybeans for the most part kind of hang in there. They improved by about a penny. We did see 4 cents come off of soybean plants. But I think the big thing that we need to focus on here, corn came off, and of course we went through that roll when we went from September onto the December contract for corn, and I think that had a little bit of influence on the basis. But I think what also had an influence on the basis was the amount of corn that was floating upriver. In the last week, we actually saw more corn moving up past Lock 27, headed up the river, than corn coming down the river. We saw about 53,900 tons of corn moving upriver. We only saw about 23,000 moving downriver.
Yeah.
So the bottom line here is that harvest is really affecting basis throughout the country. That harvested grain is moving into the short areas that are short supply, and I think that that's impacting basis negatively going forward.
Yeah, we've really seen it take a lot off spot basis right now, but we're at kind of an interesting time in the marketing year as the market tries to converge. those old crop basis levels with kind of the new crop here, because we know we're coming out of an exceptionally short stock situation to what is going to be a little bit shorter than expected, but still a pretty good crop overall. What's your outlook here for basis, I guess, over the next month as this convergence occurs?
Well, right now we're seeing an awful lot of first half, last half bids for September, and we're seeing a lot of premium being loaded onto that first half. But I think what's likely to happen here is we're going to see a lot of elevators start moving out of that market, no longer putting that spot bid up there. I think we're going to continue to see a degradation of basis. I think we're going to see basis kind of slide here going in, and I just think harvest is underway. We're going to continue to see harvest pressure for this spot basis, so it's likely we're going to go lower from here.
Okay, if you need help finding the best cash market in your local area there for maybe any old crop bushels you're still holding on to, feel free to give us a call here at the office. Our number is 877-472-4607. In general, though, that's kind of what we saw here for the week in the grain market. Certainly next week will be big in terms of direction here moving into winter with that WASDE report on Thursday, September 12th. We'll keep you posted on all expectations leading up to that. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you back here on Monday.